Alright people, if you're someone who dreams of working in the Silicon Valley or driving down Hollywood or living the hustle life of California, or basically just like me, someone who likes to play GTA, this video is for you. We are going to break down everything you need to know for the UCs or the University of California, all of them, the admission process, and what kind of scholarships they provide to undergrad and graduate international students. So right off the bat, depending on what type of research each of the University of California provides, they are divided into 10 different colleges. And obviously, they're spread out in the state of California itself. So UCs are super popular. And if you kind of look at the stats for the last few years, you can see that they roughly admitted anywhere between 17 to 19,000 international students. And I think that's a pretty good diverse ratio considering that there are so many students that apply to all of the UCs, domestic and international. So let's talk about some interesting facts because, I love telling you guys these really cool things that I find when I do my research for these videos. In terms of like the biggest UC that enrolls the most number of students, it's UCLA, and UCLA enrolled 31,000 undergraduate students last year. And in terms of the smallest UC, which is also the newest of like the gang, it's UC Merced, that enrolls just 7,000 undergrad students. And just like a fun fact for you guys, when I was applying for my master's, there were some programs that I applied for a PhD because at that time, it was relatively new that, you could skip master's and from your bachelor's, you could directly go to a PhD. I actually got accepted by UC Merced. They gave me a full ride and a pretty good stipend, but I ended up turning down their offer to go to Cornell instead. So I know that it gets a little confusing because collectively, all of them are known as the UCs, but they are actually individual colleges. So they have one portal, which is the University of California application portal that you use to apply to all of the UCs, but you have to select each individual college that you want to apply to. Now, out of all of them, they're not equal in terms of like acceptance rate and other like merit-based criteria. And just for example, the two most competitive UCs are UCLA that has an 8.6 acceptance rate and UC Berkeley that has an 11.4 acceptance rate. With both of these acceptance rates, the UCs also mention things like minimum GPA requirements and just rough numbers so that a student who's applying can get an idea of somewhat of like what the profile should look like and how he or she would compare to other students that are also applying. Now, the fee structure is a little complicated because when you open the website to look at the cost of attendance, they have it segregated into three parts: in-state, out-of-state, and then international. And just so it's clear, any student that's coming as an international student, the international fee will apply to you for all 4 years. And roughly your tuition fee will be around like $46,000, $7,000 in books, supplies, and insurance, and roughly $17,000 to $20,000 in living expenses. For my master's and PhD students, you can expect a tuition fee of upwards of $28,000, and this can vary from department to department. So you'll need to go into the specific area of interest that you're looking for and see what the fee structure is over there. So listening to these numbers, you guys must be thinking that the UCs must be providing some sort of aid, right? Right? But unfortunately, I have some pretty bad news for you guys. I looked a lot, and when I say a lot, I really dig down into those like sub pages on literally all of the 9 or 10 UCs that are available. And what I ultimately found was that there is minimal scholarships given to international students directly from the college itself. And the little bit of scholarship that they do provide is in the form of merit-based scholarship. But apart from that, there is no need-based scholarship for international students. So CSS profile, nope. And what they actually suggest international students do is actually find external sources of funding. And I'll put some examples of those on the screen right now. But before you close this video, because I said there are no scholarships, there is a trade-off and a big reason why students come to study at the University of California. It's in the Silicon Valley, and there are so many job opportunities surrounded by companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, and others, but basically it provides a good environment for you to do co-ops and potential internships and ultimately even find a really high-paying job. The data suggests that on average after you graduate, you can expect to earn anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 as a bachelor's student. And that is good enough to cope up and even repay any loans that you potentially have. As a master's student, you can expect to earn anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000. And I also saw some salaries that ranged upwards of $200,000. Now, because California in general is known as the Silicon Valley, there's so many startups as as well-established companies. There is a wide variety of opportunities, and that's what makes the UCs the prime spot for students to come and complete their education. Now, unlike most colleges in the US, applying to the UCs can be a little confusing because they have their own separate application. They don't use Common App or Coalition. They have a UC portal where you can apply to all of the 9 UCs. And the reason why you have to apply to all of the colleges separately is because you need to first understand which colleges offer the major that you want, and then select that and add it into the portal. Now, the portal is very interactive, and honestly, it was fun to kind of like scroll around the UC map to see how all of the 9 UCs are spread out. The UCs have pretty strict minimum academic requirements, and what I mean by this is on their website, they clearly state that in your high school, you have to complete a certain set of subjects before you can even qualify to apply. Now, these subjects basically include things like history, language, science, some sort of like Math 1, Math 2, and if you kind of like select your country, you can scroll down and look at the minimum marks that you would require in your 12th board exam to satisfy their minimum criteria. Now, if we scroll down to India, for example, you can see that you need to have a minimum of 70% and no subject score should be less than 60%. So it's not like that high of a requirement, but they do have these specific guidelines. So let's take a look at all the documents and things that they require for your undergrad application. The first thing on the list is transcripts. Now, I know that in Common App, everyone is used to submitting 9 to 12, but UCs go a step further and they ask you to submit your marks all the way from grades 7 to 12. Like, that is exaggerating a bit, but I guess they want to have like a thorough academic history of the student. So yeah, be prepared to have like report cards and mark sheets of like all of those grades. Now, you don't have to send in these transcripts just yet. All of these are self-reported, which means that on the portal, you just have to fill out the grades that you got, and the sending the transcript part only comes into the picture if you're admitted. Number 2 on the list are test scores. Now, the UCs make it very clear that if you give the SAT or ACT, they will not consider it in their decision to admit you. So if you have a good score, you can definitely submit it, but it's not going to affect your application in any way. Now, in my opinion, I feel like that is a good thing. It allows the college to look at your overall profile rather than just one competitive exam score. So it gives, all the students like better chances of being able to express themselves. Number 3 on the list is the annual income. Now, this is an optional section where you can add your parents' income. But remember that for international students, the UCs don't provide need-based financial aid. So just in my opinion, I feel like this is really not necessary for international students, especially because the UCs are need-aware universities when it comes to international students. So because adding those financial details isn't going to get you any aid, you're probably better off just avoiding that section altogether. Number 4 on our list is activities. And honestly, this was my favorite section when I was going through all of the bullet points here, because the UCs allow you to add up to 20 activities, and you can choose from like different categories that they have. There is honors, there's extracurricular activities, awards, educational experiences, coursework, volunteering, and even work experience. And unlike Common App that just gives you like 150 characters, which is one sentence to explain an entire activity, the UCs actually provide 350 characters, which sum up to like a couple sentences to explain what you did. And I'm going to give you guys a little tip on how you should best use this space. Now, let's say I'm a high school student and I was the captain of the school basketball team. Now, one way I could write this is I could name the activity as sports captain, and I could write that I created team tactics and played inter-school matches. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. I could definitely write more, but I'm providing all the information that they've asked for. Now, another way I could write this is I could name the activity sports captain - women's basketball team at Bethany High, which provides more information right in the title of what I was, the sport that I did, and the school. And then in the description, I can write something like organized and ran bi-weekly team meetings for strategy, set up team training sessions with the coach, brainstormed and created group activities to improve teamwork, and updated team members through monthly newsletters, participated and won 5 inter-school basketball tournaments. Now, when you actually compare both of these side by side, it's the exact same activity, and there's no right or wrong between both of them. They're both perfectly fine, but it's about how precisely you're able to express what you did, what your roles and responsibilities were, how you contributed, and if there were any challenges or new things you brought to the table. So the more information you can provide in this section, the better off you'll be. Now, you guys didn't think that the list was over, right? I mean, we haven't tackled the biggest part, essays. But wait, the UCs don't call them essays. They're called personal insight questions. Don't ask me why. But basically, on the portal itself, they give you the option of 8 personal insight questions, and you have to pick and answer any 4 of them. Now, the word limit for these questions is anywhere between 250 to 350 words. So about half a page worth of answer, which is not bad at all. So you're not writing pages worth of essays. But these are really creative questions. For example, they may ask you about leadership, some place where you were creative, a challenge that you were able to solve, or an ability or talent that you like to showcase. Now, these are just examples, but all 8 questions that you guys see, you have to pick any 4 and write about that. And if you guys need final touches from Ivy League pros, someone who's actually gone through the process, you guys can check out the essay reviews at incognitoblueprints.com. Now, the next section that I want to talk about is the additional information section, and it's a pretty small section. It's not too relevant and it's optional, but the reason I bring it up is a lot of students ask me that they didn't do so well in grade 8, or they had a personal issue because of which they didn't do great in a subject, or in grade 9 they failed, and how would this impact their overall application. Now, this additional information section is a chance for you to explain these type of situations. So you can actually tell the admissions committee if you had a setback or a failure or something going on in your personal life. You can give reasoning behind that and then show the positive that you did come out of it and you were able to improve after that. So this is your space to tell them anything that you need to, that you haven't already. The last part are the letters of recommendation, and I have great news for you guys. UCs don't require any LORs. After they give you the admission, they may ask for a reference, which is also a maybe, but when you're submitting your application, you don't need to submit any letters of recommendation. The applications for fall 2023 have already opened, so you guys can create your UC portal online for free, and you could submit your applications anytime from October 1st to November 30th. So until now, we've covered everything you need to know if you're applying as an undergrad student to the UCs. So coming to my graduate students, masters and PhDs, you guys won't be applying through the common UC portal. Each one of the UC universities has its own individual portal that you can apply to. So my step 1 would be to browse through, all 9 or 10 universities and see which one actually has the research lab or the area that you're interested in pursuing your graduate education, and then you can go to their portal and apply. Now, in terms of the requirements, they'll pretty much stay the same as the undergrad requirements, and in addition to that, since you guys are applying for a grad degree, you also need to submit your undergrad transcripts. So coming to the aid for graduate students, now I want to kind of divide this into 2 parts. There's couple programs that don't have any aid, for example, the Masters of Engineering programs. But the advantage to these programs is that it's a 1-year course. It's basically the same program that I did at Cornell. They don't offer any outright aid when you enroll. But since you're able to finish the program in 1 year, you can immediately start working in an industry of your area immediately after that. So you're eligible to get your OPT and STEM work authorization, and it's a really fast degree. But on the other hand, research-based masters or PhDs have stipends. They may, have you work as a TA or RA to earn your monthly amount and cover up your tuition fee. So that's pretty common among all US colleges, and UCs included. Alright guys, so that's all that I had for this video. And if you guys are watching till this point, a big thank you. I know that this video got a little long, but there was just so much information I wanted to get put out there. The process is a little different for the UCs, but I hope that this video made it easier for you guys to understand. The Road to Success series has been going great. If we can get this video to 500 likes, I would literally love you guys. But today's question that I have for you guys is, what sport do you like to watch on TV, and who is your GOAT? Mine is, hold on, wait, I'm going to show you. Steph Curry. So this is the only jersey of any player that I have, and I got this in like 2015. I think I got it in Boston actually. I've seen him play once live. It was the Cleveland versus Golden State Warriors game in Cleveland. But it's kind of like my all-time dream to watch him play in his home court. I feel like that vibe in general would be just something that I'd like to experience at least once. So let me know yours in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.